held 9-3. And all 3 votes against it wanted rates higher, not lower. Professor Kowalski is here to help us take that split apart, and we're going to need it. Wednesday afternoon, 2 o'clock, and there's one line in the statement that flips how the whole vote reads.
Yeah, 3 votes against a hold, and the reflex is 3 people wanted a cut and couldn't get one. Dissents pushing for tighter policy have been less common in recent years. The last comparable case I could find was 3 officials dissenting together for a hike, September 2016. That's the assumption you bring to the page.
Higher. That was my read walking in, and I'd have said it on air. Then I opened the statement. Watch the moment. That's the chair Wednesday telling the room it was 9-3.
The other direction, though. All 3 of them wanted it higher. Here's the ruling. Beth Hammack, Neel Kashkari, Lorie Logan, named in writing. They preferred to raise the range by a 1/4 percentage point.
Preferred or demanded? The exact word matters here.
Preferred, the statement's word. 9 plus 3, 12 votes at that table, so a 1/4 of them voted no. And nobody voted to cut. One thing it doesn't do, though. It never names the 9.
Which is new. 3 months ago, the statement named every member who voted for it. This one doesn't. 3 names and a vote count is all we get. Be careful with anyone who tells you who else was on which side. Okay, then it's a signal. 3 votes for a hike at one meeting is the committee telling you the next move is,
Or it's 3 people who lost a vote.
losing it 3 ways at once is still information.
That's the split we're taking apart. Nora says signal. Erica says 3 people lost a vote. Professor Kowalski, Kevin Warsh only took this chair in May. Break the tie.
Both, and the order matters. A dissent is a vote, not a forecast. But if 3 lean the same way at one meeting, then
The argument inside the room has already moved.
it has moved. What it hasn't done is set a path. And that statement gives you a vote and 3 names, not their reasoning, so I won't put words in their mouths.
Inflation is what they were staring at, still elevated against the committee's 2% goal. And part of that, in their own wording, is supply shocks driving price increases in certain sectors, including energy. Then, same paragraph, they promised to deliver price stability anyway.
Think of it like a toll road. The policy rate is the toll. The traffic is everybody borrowing to buy something. The cars still paying at the higher price are the drivers who couldn't put the trip off. Am I close?
Close. But what does a toll do when the jam isn't cars? One catch, and Liam should land it. A toll thins traffic. It doesn't refine oil.
Plainly then, raising rates cools demand. It does not produce one more barrel of anything. A hike aimed at a supply shock costs you the traffic without clearing the jam. That's the strongest argument for holding.
The people paying for the jam aren't at that table. Both camps agree there. They disagree about which lever shortens it. Activity is holding up though, and the same statement says so, expanding at a solid pace. Productivity growth and capital investment strong, and the labor line, the job gains keeping pace with the workforce. One caveat, elevated uncertainty, tied in part to the conflict in the Middle East. Otherwise, an economy that isn't asking for help.
Strength is the argument for going now. If 5 straight years above target has started to move what people expect, a strong economy is exactly when you tighten. Waiting makes the correction cost more.
Stand by. This is the line he said twice in one breath.
Let me reiterate, there is no soft inflation target. There is no soft implicit target, not on this committee's watch. There's only a target, and it's 2%.
Not on this committee's watch. He can be held to that.
That sentence is aimed at one impression, that the Fed had quietly settled for something above 2%. He also said 5+ years above target can't be cured in 9 weeks. Read those together and the dissents stop looking strange.
The hold case is that the tightening already happened without them. Warsh said it at the podium, 42 days after the June meeting. The committee hadn't done much in those 42 days. The markets had done quite a bit, in nominal and real rates. Borrowing costs climbed while the policy rate sat still, so some of a hike's work is already done.
So if the bond market already did the tightening for them, then every extra 1/4 point on top of that is for to FIRSID.
Comfortable. And 3 of them voted the other way anyway.
If the bond market already did the tightening for them, the committee doesn't have to. The full Hazards in one sentence.
2 honest cases then. Hold. Because markets already tightened, because the inflation left is partly supply, and because price stability and full employment aren't an either-or. His words.
Raise now because it's been more than 5 years above target, because expectations are the one thing a central bank cannot buy back, and because waiting makes the fix cost more. Neither column is a slam dunk. If you think what's left of this inflation is energy and supply, you hold. If you think it's expectations, you go now.
One thing that column doesn't carry. Every extra quarter point lands on a real card balance, a real mortgage application, and a shelf price somebody checks on the way home. That happens the month it happens. Whether it was needed shows up a year later, only after that.
You're right, and I won't soften it. Households pay for going early immediately. The benefit, if any, arrives later and can never be proved. That asymmetry is the strongest thing on your side.
It wasn't a pause either. His framing, not ours, not anything like a pause, but a rigorous review of the economic situation.
If you keep one thing from this, keep the direction. Nobody at that table voted for looser policy.
Back to the toll road. Nothing Wednesday lowers the toll. The only argument left is whether you raise it now or let the traffic thin out on its own. So here's what I'd actually do with that. Nothing. Don't reprice a plan off a dissent.
Which is the honest place to leave it. Nobody on that committee is arguing about where rates should end up. Only about what month you get there.
And Warsh got ahead of the divided Fed story himself. His words, some of your commentaries will talk about a divided Federal Reserve, but that's not the feeling he felt. He'd asked for a good family fight, and he got one. 9-3, all three leaning the same way isn't a Fed split about direction. It's a Fed arguing about a calendar. Professor Kowalski, thank you. One sentence. What should people actually carry out of this?
Don't read 3 hawkish dissents as a scheduled hike. Read them as a warning that the floor under this hold is thinner than the word hold sounds.
If a confusing vote just got less confusing, hit like and subscribe. And if you know somebody about to lock a rate, send them this one. Price that decision off where rates are, not where 3 votes wish they were. Hold or hike. Which one would you have voted for on Wednesday? We'll be here when the next set of numbers lands. Thanks for watching, and until then, read the statement, not the headline.